Okay. We are good.
We are good.
We're fucking great. So, welcome to the first podcast of Soapbox Speakers. AKA Two Old Men Bitch.
Patent pending, trademark pending.
Yeah.
So we own that. No one try to steal that.
Yeah, they're going to try and steal it. Of course they are.
It's okay.
It's so fucking great.
You can steal it. It's open source, which now means that anyone can use that for whatever artistic means they want.
I really like the fact that you're looking at the mic when you're talking to it.
That's me looking at the audience. They know.
Yeah. They totally know. I think we'll get used to this. Like,
right. So
after about 5 minutes, we'll forget it's there. But...
Subject ideas. What you got?
Oh fuck! I didn't bring anything.
Oh.
I was relying on you, man.
Am I the only one that prepared for this?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I'm here to react and sound cool.
Okay. Given what happened this week, it was International Women's Day.
It was.
Right. And there is a common trope that comes around, and I've only noticed it for International Women's Day, and it is, what about International Man's Day?
I didn't get any of that. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's grim.
What I find interesting about that is, it's not like you do that on any other holiday.
Mm.
So it's like, happy summer solstice. Yeah, but when's winter solstice?
It's because there already is one to be
Yeah,
fair,
yeah.
but, like...
Or like, happy birthday, but when's my birthday? That's literally what they're saying when they say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, could you imagine what like an entitled arsehole you'd come across if you said that on someone's birthday? Like, happy birthday, but like, when's mine?
Yeah, but then, like, is there an International Men's Day?
There actually is.
Alright, well, what are they bitching about then?
They didn't bother to Google, I imagine. It was kind of just a reactionary
I think it
Reddit,
probably
Facebook thing.
more boils down to the fact that they're like, oh, well, this is a really big deal. Where's our big deal when it's National Men's Day? Not realising that they kind of have to make it a big deal.
Not realising they have a day which is, every day is International Men's Day.
Feels good to be living in the patriarchy.
Feels good to be a man.
But yeah.
Because after all, this is a man's world. But he wouldn't be nothing without International Women's Day.
Yeah. Well, keeping it real, yo.
Just reminding you I'm here.
Like, it's a man's world. Like, fucking, it is. Yeah. But that still sucks. Like, as far as I'm concerned. Like...
Go on.
Well, like, I mean, I work as a mechanic, right?
Okay.
So, like, I feel like I'm kind of right in the middle of the man's world.
Ooh, plot drop.
Yeah.
Paint me a picture. Paint me with this man's world.
Well, like everybody I work with is a man. Like, the only women are in the office, as receptionists or, pen pushers, paper shufflers, that sort of thing. Yeah. Like, it's very rare to come across a female mechanic.
Right.
And it's been that way for a good 40 years, and the attitudes of the men in the industry haven't changed in the last 40 years. It's kind of been passed down. Like, it is getting better with the younger generations, but it's still, like, a long way off.
Mm.
And it's fucking grim. It's not fun. Like, a world without women is fucking shit. Like, you leave men to their own devices and they become horrible fucking cunts.
I wonder if that's also true of women.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if women are just left on their own to their own devices, do they become...
Well, I mean, like, have a chat with someone who went to a girls only school.
That's a fair point.
And then you'll probably figure out exactly how bad it gets. Like, you need that mix to keep everyone sane. Because if you get just men or just women on their own, they go fucking mental.
Yeah, I mean, they have done studies on this. Like, this is like those office productivity studies where they look at, like, gender mixes. And they found, like, if you have a 50-50 split, productivity, creativity, and innovation go up.
Oh, okay.
Just because you get, like, they don't elaborate on the reason. It's just you tend to the attitude and the, like, patois in the conversation becomes more jovial and joking, and there's less insincerity and bitching. Yeah,
which is all I get at my work.
Yeah.
Just that people complaining about each other. Like, yeah, God, it's awful. So, yeah. Roll on International Women's Day. Fuck yeah. Roll on International Men's Day.
It's rolled by.
Well, yeah. But, like, can we also have, like, an International Everyone Day, because otherwise it's all shit.
International Human Day. It's a bit speciest. Like we're gonna.
True. We might have an International Dolphin Day as well. Fuck the.
We're gonna run out of days.
Probably. Oh, that would be a funny thing to.
Maybe we should just condense it all down to International Don't Be a Dick Day. Yeah, but what about my right to be a dick day?
Yeah, no. But you see, the problem is the fact that you mentioned dick in the Don't Be a Dick Day means it's a man's day. So
that's true, yeah.
You know,
and we have used the word bitch repeatedly, which is
true.
You know, a female pejorative.
Yeah, used against men.
We've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
We need to work on ourselves and really kind of think about language usage.
No, you're right.
And the terms that we use.
Or we can reappropriate bitch to not be a feminine insult, but instead just mean someone who is whiny and annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I feel uneasy with the word appropriate.
You fucking bastard. You are setting me up already. This is so annoying. Like, if people end up watching this, I'm going to get all the death threats. You know that, right?
No, I think that might be me. Like, I think the sarcasm in my tone there was quite clear. Like,
I don't know. You were fairly deadpan, so... But yeah, so
I don't actually think that, everyone. I think the opposite of that, which makes me less bigoted.
And it's really annoying that we have to break character in order to be able to say that.
All right, Stuart Lee. Jesus.
If you haven't heard of Stuart Lee, look up Stuart Lee.
Yeah, look up Stuart Lee, like, right now. Stop listening to this podcast. Never
No,
come back.
No.
Take anything away.
No. Keep listening to this podcast. Shut up, Matt. God. Like, not being funny, but sometimes I switch off podcasts when they say that just to spite them. So, like, we have lost all of me.
Oh, no.
Fuck off.
Oh, no. That's like 80% of our listeners.
Anyway, back on... No, it's going to be like 50% for the first one, because it's going to be you and me listening. But...
You're going to spite yourself.
Yeah. Fucking, so your problem with... so the problem you had during International Women's Day was all of the men coming out and going, well, what about International Men's Day?
Yeah, okay. Like, I have a tick, and I've recently realised that this is a tick that I have, which is that it's not the, like, playing devil's advocate tick, it's the deconstructing poor arguments tick.
Mm.
So, like, whoever the source is, whether or not I agree with the spirit of the message or not, if it's a bad argument, I'm going to call it a bad argument.
Okay.
So I don't consider myself anti-feminist, but occasionally I see posts that are meant to be like supporting feminism, but the argument that's being made doesn't make sense. Is shit, yeah.
Right.
And so I'll call it, but then I'll get called a bigot or a sexist.
Yeah.
All nasty things. And
it really
unlike bigot or sexist, they're not nasty.
You know, it really hurts you in your position of cis white male privilege.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt me because I'm a cis white male.
And we are impervious to pain and we don't feel emotions.
Well, yeah, apparently.
Despite the fact that, you know...
But, you know, I am kind of pretty low on the economic ladder, which ultimately I think is what it all boils down to, if we're being honest.
Oh, we're getting into this now.
Yeah, like, this is one that really bugs me, because I'm going to say something now, and I've realised as soon as I open my mouth on this one, I need to be spot on.
Okay.
And I've realised I don't know enough about it to...
Too late.
Actually, no, hang on. I think I can do this. I think I can do this. Feel free to correct me and call me a bigot if I'm wrong.
I await with bated breath.
Right. Have you heard the expression intersectionality?
No.
Okay. I forget the name of the woman who came up with it, but she was like a major writer in feminist theory and major contributor in feminist theory. And she basically argued that there are different types... It's like, you know, like a Venn diagram where you've got multiple different categories and some of them overlap. So, like, you know, you're a cis white male, so there's 3 categories there that overlap that make the cis white male. And you have a set of privileges, and with that also a set of disadvantages because you fit into that category. And everyone is that. Like, they have a series of things that... a series of categories that overlap and kind of assign a kind of oppression, privilege, value depending on those combinations.
Okay.
Right. I think that's what intersectionality is.
I think I'm with you so far.
Right. Okay. My contention is that the overarching one regarding privilege is always economic power. That is the one commonality between all of them.
So, what you're saying essentially is there's a lot of different movements out there, all fighting for their right to be less
their
oppressed.
specific section of how they are oppressed by society.
For example, feminism is fighting against male oppression.
Yeah.
And what?
Is it still?
No, it's still recording.
Sorry, just got a tech thing that's going on.
Oh, right in the middle of a...
Yeah, right in the middle of a thing where we're going to lose our train of thought and look like idiots.
I'm pretty sure.
It's still recording.
It's put up the screen, but it's still recording. Yeah, it's still recording. So
okay, cool.
Don't worry about the screen going blank.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you were saying?
Feminism, fighting against male oppression, let's say the Black Lives Matter movement fighting for the rights of black people.
Yep.
Etc. and so forth. You can add a load of those.
Yeah. But you can be a feminist within Black Lives Matter.
Well, yeah.
And then you've got your own... Then you
dual.
form a new kind of...
A dual.
Oppression privilege.
A dual activism.
Yeah. But
anyway,
ultimately all of them are connected. That's the point of intersectionality.
You're trying to segue me.
Yeah.
But all of those essentially all boil down to the socio-economic problems.
I would just say economic rather than socio-economic.
Just economic.
Because socio would say, like, your race is a factor. Don't get me wrong, your ability to climb the economic ladder is definitely hampered or improved depending on your race. So, for example, like, if you look at, like, the wage distribution by race in America, the highest earners per capita are Asian.
Right.
But there's no campaign for everyone getting to the Asian level of economic mobility because
I see, yeah.
the argument is made that it's white people. It's being white that is the privilege.
Right. I see. Yeah. Okay. And so essentially all of these movements should shut up and unite and fight against the man.
Yeah, ultimately what all of these groups how should I phrase this? It's that, like, I think your energies would have far more success if you were campaigning for a more equitable distribution of economic wealth.
Okay, so...
Which, I mean, a lot would argue they are. It's just, my point is, it feels as if...
So, to put it into tangible, kind of real-world perspective, fighting for things like a higher minimum wage, higher taxes for the rich, less taxes on inheritance.
I mean,
that's a point of contention right there. But
yeah, I mean, there's lots of discussions to be had around that one. I mean, higher minimum wage would be a good one. Another interesting idea, which I've not given a huge amount of thought to, but has just occurred to me, would be a maximum earnings cap, like an actual limit to how much you can earn.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because there comes a point where you just don't need any more.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that the people who earn that vast sum of money are doing it because, you know, they feel as... I think for that, at that point, it's they have a particular personality type that just means that they work in a particular way. And I'm trying to think how to explain this.
Like, some of it you're just born into it. Some of it you get lucky.
Yeah, a lot of it is just inheritance.
But like a large amount of CEOs are sociopaths, aren't they? And that's
or stockbrokers.
Yeah.
Stockbrokers particularly are. Yeah.
It's fucking grim.
Not to generalise, but if you're a stockbroker, but
you're an asshole.
You're probably not listening to podcasts.
No, you're sitting in a restaurant somewhere going, "Well, well."
And if all the films portraying stockbrokers is anything to go by, also sexual predators, but quite often portrayed as if that's a good thing.
And mass murderers.
Was that Hollywood maybe saying they knew about Weinstein? I don't know. That's for you to decide.
Dropping that bomb right in there. So, is that our next topic, or
what, Weinstein? I mean, there's not really anything left to say. Like his empire has basically been shut down.
Yeah.
I mean,
there might be people out there listening who are like, "Who the fuck's Weinstein?"
That's true. Harvey Weinstein was a major film producer. Started a company called Miramax, I think is what it's called. Oh Jesus, that reminds me. I found this out recently, actually. I'll get back to that. He started a company called Miramax, and it turns out he's like a serial philanderer, but apparently had an arrangement with his wife that allowed him to see other women when he was out working. I don't know what his wife has to say about that. I've not really looked that deeply into it.
I
And
would like
he,
to know what she had to say.
and he, you know, he abused his position of power basically to have.
Cardinal relations with women.
Well, he tried to. A lot of people turned him down, and in other instances, he was very sexually aggressive, and there are multiple rape allegations against him. A lot of which were subpoenaed, I think is the word, and money was given so that they would stay hush hush. Make of that what you will.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And also, he had a contract with his own company that basically was like, if you do this and get caught sexually harassing people, this is what you're going to have to pay. And so it was like written into his contract because they knew this was going to happen. Like that's how aware everyone was. It's not like Jimmy Savile had that contract.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
kind of, yeah.
Could you imagine, like, if the BBC had a contract with Jimmy Savile that said
like,
that?
if you get caught
Yeah.
fiddling up kids, you're gonna have to pay this much.
Yeah.
Jesus
like,
Christ.
But like on a side note regarding Jimmy Savile, he was also well known as being incredibly litigious, which is why most newspapers never wrote articles about what he did, even though there were rumours, because if they published anything that even suggested it, he would sue the crap out of them.
Right.
So a lot of people just thought it wasn't worth the hassle, and never kind of followed it up.
Jesus.
Which goes back to my point about economic power.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice little wrap up right there. Yeah.
The thing I wanted to segue back into was Harvey Weinstein, before everything broke, recruited the services of an Israeli intelligence company who specialise in what he basically paid them to do is to send their agents to pretend to act as if they were victims of Harvey Weinstein and approach journalists for interviews, and what they were actually there to do was milk information from the journalists to find out what the journalists knew. Yeah.
Wow.
That is a thing that you can pay for if you have enough money.
That's fucking hell.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a job.
Yeah.
Job title.
That is a legit thing that exists.
I feel like I've wasted my life. I want to become a
I want to be that guy.
Israeli intelligence spy. That's fucking great.
What, like, yeah, I mean, like,
joking.
When I found out, I was like, wow, we really are in like the cyberpunk dystopia of corporate espionage. Jesus.
Yeah,
the other thing,
100% are.
Yeah, like the other thing was he tried to start. Actually, no, I think he successfully started his own entertainment website and journalist like article. You know, like OK and like gossip rags in the UK is what we call them. Like in America, like TMZ.
Tabloid?
Yeah, tabloids and but it's specifically focused on like entertainment and celebrity culture.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, proper wank.
You may as well just wank over a newspaper and try and sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tried to start his own, and like people who worked within that organisation are during interviews. There was a Panorama episode about it on BBC. They basically said like Weinstein's goal with setting this up was literally just to find out what rumours were out there regarding him. So he literally set up a tabloid company to protect himself. Again, economic power. But
dystopian corporate espionage.
Yeah.
Just it's there, man. We're here. We're living it.
Yeah. And like
I'm a little bit excited.
I'm a little bit pleased.
I'm waiting for the fucking franchise wars. That's what I'm waiting for.
What, like Demolition Man?
Okay. So you know KFC ran out of chicken, right? Do you remember that?
Oh, hello, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so like I really want that to be because like McDonald's fucked with them. Like, so it's nothing to do with their fuck up, but like somebody has come along and deliberately like messed with their like logistics, so the chicken didn't get to them. So there was like a shortfall, and that is like the beginning. Like
that's an interesting point
because like I wouldn't be surprised. If
same, actually, interesting. Like same with like Elon Musk and that lithium battery factory. Like, what if he buys up all? Well, no, I'm just saying as like a potential example. If he secures like the lithium supply from like. I forget the three countries. It's in South America. There are basically three countries you can get lithium from. One is kind of stable. The other two are really politically unstable. So most of the supply comes from this one country. That's right. The tech that we are hoping will bring in the new age is based on three countries that are quite politically unstable. I can't see that going wrong at all. It's not going to be like a repeat of the Middle East or anything.
So just to be clear, what you're saying there is you're pretty sure America's going to invade these three countries at some point.
I'm pretty sure the IMF has set up really shitty infrastructure proposal systems that will mean that they have to sell lithium to America at a really low price.
Yeah, fuck America.
But Trump, hell of a salesman. I mean, he became president.
Grab him by the pussy. Oh, grab the lithium by the pussy. It's mine now.
Anyway, what I was going to say was, if Elon Musk secures like a major percentage supply of lithium from these countries, it denies it to the rest of the world. So countries like South Korea, where Samsung and other countries, like other businesses that rely upon like a steady supply of lithium, pretty much every telecommunications company that produces mobile phones, for example, Apple would be another one.
Yeah.
Is potentially fucked because the supply isn't going to be there.
But you don't understand, Matt, in that the market will balance itself out. It will. Everybody will be okay in the free market.
Yes, because the IMF totally makes that a free market.
Oh. Yeah, no, that is genuinely worrying. Question is, is Elon Musk a good guy or a bad guy?
I think he's a businessman.
Yeah. He did make a load of patents free, though, didn't he?
I mean, he's done a bunch of stuff. Besides being a businessman, he's a great PR guy.
Right.
Like, just fantastic PR guy. So he can... Because currently, Tesla, Wow, that's one hell of a screen background.
It'll change in a minute.
Yeah, I'm curious what it's going to be.
Okay, so
sorry, you can't.
So everybody knows, the screensaver on my computer. Again, Matt has got distracted by my laptop. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Titties distracted me.
Yeah. So the screensaver came up with boobs on. So I have like 5,000 wallpapers, and they were sent to me by a friend of mine.
Yeah.
They were sent to me by someone who's no longer a friend of mine. But back when they sent it to me, there was like 500 photos of boobs in it. And there was about 200 photos of the Nazi flag in it.
Wow.
Because they decided to fuck with me when I put it on the cycle. So I've still not found them all. I haven't been bothered to go through and find all of them. So there's still occasionally a swastika will turn up on my screen and I'm like, well, that's shit.
A nice save. Like, when someone goes through that and finds it all, they're going to, like, paint you as, like, a neo-Nazi fascist type.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they probably do it anyway, and whatever I say wouldn't matter, so,
That's true. Well, it's said now. Like, it's on the record. It's canon.
Oh, man. Anyway, well, come on then. Another topic from your list, my good man.
What have we got? Oh, before I just jump to another topic. Films we have watched recently.
Okay.
You watched
3 Billboards Outside of Idaho?
I think it is Idaho.
Yeah.
Because after you told me about it, I googled it.
Go on then, you talk about yours first.
I can't stop watching The Martian.
The Martian?
Yeah, with Matt Damon.
How many times have you watched it?
Like, in the last week, I've watched it about 5 times.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
I don't know. Like, there's something about it I just find really compelling.
I mean, it was good.
I don't know why. Recently I've really gotten into space.
Right.
I got...
Ow! You have no rocket. Oh!
It was Elon Musk.
Oh, he did a stupid fucking TV show about travelling to Mars, didn't he?
Who's that? Elon?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Mars?
Yeah. It's called Mars. And I watched like the
when
first
you
episode.
say he did... Well, actually, that's an interesting point, because I am actually now wondering if he financed it. Because there is a lot of SpaceX promotional shit in there.
And a lot of him.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of, what's his face? The physics guy.
But does he own a company?
I don't know. Don't know his business arrangements.
Well, there we go. And you don't know that because it wasn't
Richard Branson was also interviewed in that.
Oh, was he? Like... Oh, what a prick. Yeah, fucking Richard Branson. Like, for anyone who doesn't live in the UK, he's a fucking prick.
Yeah.
absolute knobend. He's buying up NHS contracts, privatising our healthcare system.
And he's also suing the NHS.
Oh yeah, he sued the NHS because he didn't get a contract.
Mm.
How he knows that he didn't get the contract because he wasn't the cheapest bidder?
Now, was he able to do that because he was a white male or because he had the economic power to do that? Gee, I wonder.
Ooh, yeah, okay, you're going to get more hate mail than I am. Jesus.
I mean, you can make the argument he was only able to do that because of white male privilege. You could.
Well...
But
I don't think he's
that doesn't change. But however, I would also counter with: isn't the richest man in the world a sheikh from Saudi Arabia?
Well, he's still a man.
Yeah.
Fuck men. Go.
I believe one of the richest people in the world is in the top 10 rich list. So.
Fair.
I say 1 out of 10. So okay, yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I guess my point here is like. The underlying factor to the power that one holds is got very little to do with race or gender. It's got everything to do with the economic power that you wield.
Yeah.
Economic power allows you to secure more economic
just to be,
power.
like, completely clear, what you're saying is feminists are wrong, anti-racial abuse people are wrong.
No,
they're all directing their forces in the wrong way.
When I say wrong, what I'm actually referring to is they're not wrong in the arguments that they're making that the advantage that has existed. They are correct when they say that. But what they are fighting against is the wrong thing. Don't fight against that. Fight against the distribution of wealth and economic forces. Because as soon as you do that, everyone becomes Holland.
Okay, and what's good about Holland?
They have the lowest income distribution in the world, I think, which basically translates to everyone has a similar amount of wealth, right. Everyone has an exceptionally high standard of living, everyone has equal opportunities, has comparable levels of opportunity, I should say. It's as equal as it can be, and I would have thought is ultimately what we're all striving for.
And you can get high.
And you can get high, which is a plus as well. And you know, if you're an addict, they don't treat you like a criminal.
Always good, yeah.
They treat you as someone who is an addict, which, you know, let's face it.
War on drugs.
Yeah.
War on drugs. Oh, fucking America. Like, the only thing that I've got going for me at the moment is the fact that, like, no matter how fucked up the UK gets, we're never going to be as bad as America. Like,
I don't know. There's a lot of money coming from. There's a lot of US investment.
I know, but there's a lot of Chinese investment
and
as
a lot
well,
of Russian
and a lot of Russian. Like, they all want a piece of our ass, our sweet, pliable, rich ass. You know it's true.
It's true.
Anyway,
Plymouth is pretty supple.
Plymouth?
The arsehole of the UK is what I was implying.
Plymouth is not the arsehole of the UK.
I know.
Right?
I know it's not. And for anyone from Plymouth, I'm sorry. It's just in my head.
Janice are gunning for you.
In my head, I was just picturing the UK, and I was like, where would the arsehole be on the UK?
Glasgow.
That's a fair point. Like, what's
Glasgow.
What's UK's bottom bitch?
Oh man.
Which, to be fair, probably Glasgow, given how much Parliament has shafted the north.
True. Actually, to be fair, I think Cornwall's been shafted quite hard as well.
Basically, anywhere not London or South East.
Or Kent.
Yeah, South East.
Alright, yeah, that is South East. Alright, but then some people... Alright, fair, yeah.
Some
people might have
you about to say,
South East.
Some people, what's Kent? Like, and if you don't know what Kent is, South East is a better explanation. No. Oh yeah, I can picture that. There's the UK, South East of London, right? Yeah, I got that. No?
Can I talk?
No.
So some people might be like me and struggle with compasses to a massive degree, where they're like southeast, what the fuck, and then go Kent. Oh, that bit. Yeah, all right, I understand now. Where all the twats live.
Where we live.
Just we live. Yeah, I know. I was well aware of that when I said it.
Yeah, but they may not.
We segued quite hard here because we were talking about films, like.
Yeah, and then somehow got back to
so what we wanted to
Elon Musk.
Okay, so it was.
I fucking hate Elon Musk, by the way.
I know, and I'm undecided only because you fucking hate him, but my auntie actually really loves him. Yeah. And those are two people whose opinions I really respect.
So I'm really torn.
Like, I don't know where to go.
That's a nice place to be, though. Because let me explain.
She got pissy at me when I said Elon Musk was a bad guy. She was like, "He's a fucking savior," and I was like, "Yeah, but Didn't he like he's trying to build a fucking like what is it pressurized train system?
What, the Hyperloop?
Yeah, the Hyperloop.
It's not pressurized. It's meant to be a vacuum.
Well, a vacuum,
or
yeah,
close
whatever.
to whatever.
In a vacuum, and I was like, but how is that going to work? Because it's just not. It's a huge PR stunt, and her basic argument was, if you throw enough smart people at it, they'll get it to work. And I was like, yeah, but is it worth it? Like that amount of smart, let's say, smart energy, could be directed at something more interesting.
Okay, I mean,
more useful.
The argument I would make if I was your grandmother is
auntie.
Auntie, is that it is financing research in a sector that has been under researched, and something may come of that. In the same way that NASA didn't deliver directly any kind of economic gain, however, it did give us the satellite system that is immensely profitable.
And the pressurised ballpoint pen. Oh, yeah.
But okay, well, look at it this way. If you want to look at it in economic terms, so every $1 invested into NASA, $2 enter the economy because of it.
Yeah.
That's how significant the contribution of the breakthroughs they've made have been to the general economy.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah. So, like, it is worth that investment if you're getting 100% return. Like, don't quote me on those figures. I know it's over $1. I think it made like
95% statistics are made up on the spot.
Yeah.
Oh, including that one.
It is very funny enough. I got that little factoid from the Mars documentary that you chickened out of because Elon Musk turned up.
No, I hate it because I was like, this is kind of interesting, and then it switches back to like people from our current. Like, people from our real life.
Yeah, because it's a docudrama.
Talking. Yeah, I know, but I didn't know that when I started it. I thought it was just a drama. And I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of get behind this. It's a little bit boring, but I'll see where it goes. And then it switched to this fucking old fart talking. And I was like, oh, no.
I'll tell you...
switch off.
Speaking of, actually...
Can't do it.
So speaking of, I'll tell you of moments where I was in the middle of watching a show and kind of enjoying it, still on the fence about it, and then something happened where I just completely was like, I'm out of this game now. And it was Star Trek Discovery, where there was a line from, like, the captain or admiral where he's like, this technology could be the next breakthrough. It could be the next Henry Ford or Elon Musk. And I was like, Elon Musk, fuck off.
You hate him so much you stopped watching
like,
Star
don't
Trek.
turn him into a pop culture reference in the future. Like, don't Arnold Schwarzenegger this in Demolition Man, although that turned out to be eerily accurate.
Yeah, it's true. And like Doctor Who with Britney Spears.
What?
Doctor Who when they I think it's, I can't remember which Doctor it was, but they go to the end of the Earth when Earth is exploding, and they're watching it on this space station, and they're like, and now we're going to play some classical music from Earth from the year 2000, and then Britney Spears starts playing, and I'm like, that's funny because we all know that is not what they would play. Like, that nobody would look back on this time of history and go, yeah, Britney Spears.
No, you don't know that though.
I do.
No.
I've got to believe it.
I
can't keep existing.
I understand that, but
knowing that might be a possibility.
I'll put it to you like this: like, there's a huge amount of sophists and philosophers from ancient Greece whose works we don't know about, but we know they existed because they were referenced in other works.
Right.
So these people potentially could have been more influential than Plato or Socrates.
But we'll never know.
But we'll never know because we haven't found that literature.
Time travel, we need that now.
Right.
No, carry on. Sorry.
So my point here is that it's possible that, you know, in the annals of history, so much music is lost that the only stuff that's left is what happened to survive.
Which happened to be Britney Spears.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Anyway, the movie is 3 billboards. Oh no, I've lost it again. Oh no, 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. Okay.
So I got it completely wrong.
No, you started with wanting to say Missouri.
Did I?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
it was like Idaho.
Anyway, and it was a fucking good movie. Oh my god, it was so good. It was like I said it before. It was like watching genius at work. Like, because you watch films sometimes, like the fucking Avengers movies, where you're like, yeah, this is a good fucking movie, and then I watched this and I was like, no, that's not. That's by the numbers good. That this is fucking.
Yeah, but that's
good.
kind of like comparing Shakespeare with like The Simpsons. Like, both are good.
Exactly. That's what
I mean,
saying.
like, both were good anyway. Speaking of The Simpsons specifically.
Yeah,
but
flog you until
my point
no
is, like,
relevant.
you could make the argument of, like, which is more culturally significant. Like, So, which one's going to be more culturally significant? Minnesota, Three Billboards in Missouri, or the Avengers films?
Let's just call it Three Billboards.
Three Billboards, like
it's much easier because then we don't have
not
to
turn it all highbrow into this. Like, well, what is art? But like a good action flick is good, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's no shame in liking an action flick.
And then you watch
like
Three
Demolition
Billboards.
Man. Demolition Man is a prime example. That is a good ass action flick.
Shit, fucking movie.
It's a fucking great movie. What are you talking about?
Alright, it has its moments, but overall, it's really bad.
It's 90s
Good
cheese.
Good
like, but this is my point. Like, same with like Commando, where it's one guy just mowing down loads of fucking expendable NPCs. Like that would never happen. We know that would never happen. But it's an action film, so we're going to allow it.
Yeah. Anyway, Three Billboards.
Yes.
It was a good fucking movie. There we go. I'm done. So like, I don't know. Are we doing spoilers?
I'm fine with spoilers. Okay. Anyone listening, warning, spoilers.
Yeah. So warning. I'm going to talk about it, and I might spoil it. So you might want to like go and watch it. But
you could talk about this for 5 minutes.
What? Why?
Because so they'll know where to jump to.
No.
All right.
No. Fuck. That's annoying. I don't want to have to think about that. That's no. Okay.
You know what I think we should do? I think we should do in the future.
Okay, no spoilers. Okay. No spoilers. There's no spoilers. Anyone who's already jumped ahead, well, you're fucked. Like, there's no spoilers. Okay, so I will mention some things that I don't think are spoilers, though. So, like, viewer discretion. So, Three Billboards is a fucking great movie. The movie starts off essentially following this one particular woman. And she basically hires the Three Billboards to basically say, and I don't remember exactly what it is, but like it calls out the local police chief, and goes, "My daughter was raped while she was dying. Why have you still not found anyone after 8 months?"
Yeah.
And the whole movie revolves around that going
Jesus.
forward.
Yeah.
It's not a happy movie.
No.
It's like the ending is fucking great. It's just all so good, and I really want to fucking talk about it, and we'll talk about it afterwards. But like, and it's essentially it follows a number of different kind of paths. Like the whole movie, I guess, does tend to follow this one particular woman and her troubles, but it kind of includes an awful lot of other
like side stories,
which you initially think are just kind of not really that important. They're there to prop up the main story, but then turn out to be better stories than the actual like. The
in and of themselves, they are equal to. Like.
Well, by the end of it, you're just like, okay, yeah, what happened to her was awful, but what about that? And what about this?
So it's a network of sleaze and horrifying shit.
Well, yeah, and some kind of an unexpected heroism as well.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and Peter Dinklage is in it. Just, like, not a big part, really. Didn't actually add a whole lot to the movie, but he was in it.
When you say he's in it, is it like the X-Men film where he plays the guy that builds the giant mech robot things?
What the fuck? I don't remember that.
Yeah, like, I forget which X-Men film it is. It's the one where it's all the guys from the past. It's like set during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, yeah. No, it's worse than that.
Okay, right.
Like, he's the town midget. That's
wow.
literally it.
Damn.
So, yeah. He's there as another highlight as to, you know, how backwards the town is because of the way that people treat him.
Oh, okay, I get you. I was going to say, like, what? Because they've got a midget? Like...
No. But, yeah.
I've just realised we may now look really kind of ignorant because, like...
Midget isn't the right word.
Midget or dwarfism?
Small person?
A wee man, yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure the only people that are going to take offence to that aren't going to be midgets watching. It's going to be everybody else.
It's going to be offence taken on behalf of midgets.
Yeah. Social justice warriors.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's add that to the list. Anyway, I'm getting more hate mail as I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel.
Should have gone with the other name.
I can feel people blocking me on Facebook. Like, just in my bones.
So no change there then.
The truth hurts. But yeah, Three Billboards, great movie. I won't talk any more about it because otherwise I will start spoiling it. But it's just well worth a watch.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You were really gushing about it. What was that other film I told you to watch with Antonio Banderas?
Oh God, Acts of Vengeance.
Acts of Vengeance. That film is amazing.
That film is not. Do not watch that. Acts of Vengeance is worth avoiding.
It's so bad, it's good.
If you're gonna watch it, watch the first 10 minutes, skip to the middle 10 minutes, and skip to the last 10 minutes, and you will get the whole movie.
That's true, but you're gonna miss so much corn.
It was just bad. This one we're definitely spoiling. So right now.
I just love the fucking bullshit tropes that they set out.
No, you told me about it, but it didn't prepare me for the montage.
I can't
finish.
help. Yeah, okay, go on.
God damn it! You've been interrupting me the whole time.
Let me.
You were too late. There was a pause. Everyone knows that was fake. Yeah, that's what they'll believe.
He only hit me because I deserve it.
Oh God, no! Can we not do this? Can we? Oh, no, it's bad.
Oh, we went dark. That's why I went there.
Yeah, we did, and I'm not sure.
I say we. I mean me.
Anyway,
I can go darker.
You told me about the montage, which was him reading a bunch of books like Five Rings and like weird.
Five Rings and Confucius. What was it? Meditations.
Yeah.
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Which is quoted throughout the movie. Like it's this movie is the cheesiest piece of shit you've ever seen in your life, and occasionally it black screens and puts a quote up by that guy, and it's just like
they're transition screens because Act 1 is now over. Now Act 2.
I know it has acts in it, and it's a stupid fucking action flick.
Okay, let me explain the film. Okay, I personally love it just because of the skill of the execution of this cornball plot, like this kind of real cheesy plot. So it's one of those things where it's like it's a film that tries so hard to come across as like deep and profound, but fails miserably, but nonetheless is entertaining. So the premise is classic: husband is distant from his family because of work. And then ultimately loses family in a tragic accident, descends into alcoholism.
Well, it wasn't a tragic accident, it was a murder.
Well, okay, yeah, sorry, tragic murder. Isn't all murder tragic, though?
I don't know. I mean, if it was Donald Trump.
Wow. Went there.
Yeah, I went there. That would not be tragic. That would be delightful.
Hitler's mum before he was born.
No, she's innocent of anything that he's done. You can't blame the mother for the son's.
Interesting.
Oh.
Well, it's a very kind of noble attitude.
Is it?
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't go that way.
Oh,
have you not seen We Need to Talk About Kevin?
No.
Where, like, the whole town fucking hates the mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. No, I haven't seen it.
You need to watch that. That's good. Everyone listening also needs to watch that. We'll talk about it in a minute.
We're going to give them so much to watch that they're just not going to have time to listen to any more podcasts after one. Like
that so isn't true, given how much binge watching people do, and the fact that podcasts exist in the first place. People have plenty of time on their hands and they're able to do all that.
True, but people put it on in the background while they're doing other shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I do. So
we're adults, kind of.
Oh, are you sure? I think
anyway,
we're millennials, it doesn't count.
Anyway, entitled millennials walking around like they rent the place,
recording podcasts like anyone wants to listen.
Like every thought they have is fucking genius.
Telling everybody that it's economic power that's the problem, and should probably shut them up.
Commie dicks.
Commies,
anyway,
fucking
clearly
Marxist,
commies,
fascists.
Socialist commie bastard. Use that term interchangeably without knowing what either of them mean, because you grew up in the fucking Cold War, and if anyone should actually know the difference, it would be you, I would have thought, but apparently not. Anyway,
You were talking about Acts of Vengeance.
Yeah, Acts of Vengeance. So he his wife and daughter are tragically murdered, and he descends into this self-destructive cycle of severe alcohol abuse
for about 10 minutes.
But we've got a film to make. We've got to tell a story in 90 minutes. So there's about 10 minutes of this.
It's a very short film as well, by the way. I was glad of that. Gave me time to watch 3 billboards afterwards.
For a dose of sanity. No, it was more sanity cracking. For a dose of realism. Anyway, he happens upon an illegal cage fighting match in the back of a bar that seems like a normal bar. I don't know about anyone else. I've never been in a bar where I just like, oh yeah, clearly a illegal fight in the back. I'm going to stumble in there drunk. But that is what happens in this film.
Well, he follows somebody into the back, so I don't think he knows.
Yeah, two shady
drunk.
characters, and the only thing that makes them shady is the fact they have a Russian accent. Ooh, yeah, clearly mobsters.
Yeah, but Russians are shady, yo.
Exactly.
Oh Christ, that reminds me of something that happened at work.
Mm-hmm.
Just to completely detract from what we were talking about.
Do it.
So, like, at work, there was this guy, he's Eastern European, I'm not sure, I don't think he's Russian, I think he might be Czech, but I'm not sure on that.
Right.
He has that accent. I could have, but it was a bit busy at the time, as I'll explain. So he steals a fucking jacket, right? Like, so there's this wrapped up jacket that the company supplies to people, and it's on one of the fitters' desks, and he's walking by and he takes it. I know this because he was on camera.
Right.
He, lo and betide to him, he takes it off of a particular fitter that works there, and we're going to call him Bob. Right. So Bob has anger management issues.
And is Bob a massive racist?
Yes. Bob is a massive racist that has massive anger management issues, right? Like, to the point where...
It's almost like the two are linked.
Yeah. To the point where I'm genuinely worried at some point he is just going to properly wail on someone.
Right,
like,
yeah.
And so he steals this guy's jacket, and Bob comes up to me and goes, "Have you seen my jacket?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "All right then." And that's I think that's the end of it. Like,
that's the end of that conversation.
But then I walk past the office and everybody's watching the footage of the jacket, seeing if they can find who it is. And I'm watching with them because I'm like, yeah, whatever, this is going to be fun. We're going to see, Bob move it and not remember. Anyway, lo and behold, this guy comes along, sees the jacket at the bottom of his desk, pulls it up to the top of his desk in preparation for taking it on his way back. He then comes back and he takes it. And it's funny because they paused it right when he's looking at his mate, and he's like, got this proper little grin on his face. And he's like, "Yeah, this is my jacket now, mate." And it's funny, but I see him and I recognise him, and I know he's fucking down at the other end of the workshop still. And I'm like, shit. So at this point, they're all like, "Who the fuck is that?" I open the door and nip out because I'm like, I need to get rid of this cunt before fucking Bob kicks off at him and beats him to pulp. And I walk down and I'm like, "Mate, like, I know you've stolen the jacket because I've seen you on CCTV. Like, give it back to me now, and I'll go and give it to the guy, because you unbeknownst to you, you stole it from a guy with massive anger management issues, and I'm genuinely worried he's going to start a fight with you." Like,
what was his reaction? Bring it. Am I bothered?
No, he didn't fucking care. Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, whatever." And he was like, I've been waiting 6 months for a jacket, and they haven't given me one. Bearing in mind it's now March, right? So the entire of winter has gone by, and he hasn't had a jacket. Sod. And I'm like, fair play. And so he takes it off because he's already put it on, and he takes all the stuff out of his pockets because he's already put all the stuff in the pockets. It's been like 5 minutes he's had this jacket. It's great.
He's made it his own.
Yeah. So I take it off him, and I take it back and I give it to Bob. And Bob's like, "Is he still here?" And I was like, "Here's your jacket, mate. All done." "Nice, he's still here. I'm gonna have a word." And I'm like, "All right then." So he storms off, and I'm not there for it, but apparently he gets right up in his face, and he's like, "If you nick anything from my fucking desk again, I'll fucking have you. I'll kill you." And I'm like, this is a slight overreaction for a coat that you didn't pay for that was supplied by the company. Like,
but it's his. You see.
I understand being upset, but like,
property's 9/10 of the law, I've been told.
Anyway, he says all of this. The other guy doesn't say a word because he's a fucking smooth talker, right? Because I've talked with him before, and he's a cool guy. I like him, which is why I was trying to get rid of him. Anyway,
I like him. That's why I was trying to tell him go away.
Yeah. Anyway, so Bob finishes up and comes back. The other guy not having said a word, and then like our company director who was there then starts watching the footage. At which point I go back to Bob and I'm like, "Bob, you really need to leave. Like, you're gonna get fired if you stay, but they might call off and not do it if you go on." So luckily his truck's going. He gets in, fucks off. And then later, like, we're having a chat, and I'm like, "It's a shame, man, because I really liked him. Like, we were talking about his home country." And then Bob goes, "Oh, he's foreign then?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think he's like Eastern European." And he's like, "Oh, fucking the Russians, you can't trust any of them." And I was like, "For fuck's sake, Bob."
Which you find an interesting position to take, given that he assumed he was not foreign.
Right, because he was white.
Yeah.
Because he was white.
Yeah.
Like, Bob is such a fucking dickhead. Like, it's just unreal. And he likes me because I got his coat for him, so he thinks that I'm on his page now. So it's all backfired in my face, because now he's like, "Yeah, you
could have just said, "No, look, Bob, look, no, I went and got the coat for you, because I know you've got some anger problems."
You see...
And I didn't want a scene to unfold.
I would do that, but then I don't want to start a fight with him because, like, I'll either win or lose, and either way, I won't be happy.
No, because if he starts something, you just calmly take a step back and you go, "See what I mean?"
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, all the other actually, that's probably going a bit too far into it, just in case anyone listens to it. But yeah, cool. That's my story.
Mechanics, well known for listening to podcasts.
Well, you'd be surprised, mate. You would be surprised. Like, all it takes is one of the drivers to get wind of it, and then they will all.
Yeah, guys, lads.
Yeah, lads, listen to this on my phone.
You know,
it's porn.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's it. That's all they do. But
wow,
it's bad. Yeah, like, I love my work. I hate the people I do it with. Like. That's just basically all I can say about the matter, really.
Used to be a phrase when I used to work at. I used to stack shelves, like when I was a teenager, I had a job stacking shelves.
Yeah. And
there was a phrase that I'd always say to people. It's like, "Do you like the work?" I was like, "It's all right. It'd be fine if it wasn't for the customers."
yeah. Fucking hate customer service. Like, I hate the people I work with, but at least I don't have to deal with the public. Oh yeah. God, that's grim. But no, I've done some proper shit jobs. Jesus. Oh.
Well, that was going to be one of the questions. What shit jobs have you done?
What shit jobs have you done, Jake? Well, gambling joint. That's probably the worst one. Warehouse. That was pretty bad.
So back to
back to Acts of Vengeance.
Acts of Vengeance. He Wild Shitface just gets the shit beaten out of him in this fight, right? He just keeps going in. Every day he's back and he's getting slowly beaten into a pulp. And this apparently makes him hard as nails. Like, it's conditioned in his body over time. Like, he's taking these beatings and he's getting used to the pain, and the body's repairing itself. And he can push through. He no longer goes into shock and freezes up. It just means he can push through. Anyway, then one day he's walking back home, drunk, obviously, and there's warning, spoilers. There's a girl, young girl, and it's late at night, and she says something to him which I can't remember, and it's clear that she's a prostitute. And as soon as he twigs this, he's like, "Oh my God, you're too young. What is your name?" And he freaks out. I was like, "What's your name?" It's Antonio Banderas, by the way, which is the perfect choice of actor for this character.
The guy from Zorro.
Just perfect casting. It's a Taken ripoff, but it's trying to be deeper than Taken.
Failing.
Yeah, and so she says his name, and then some Russian mobsters. I'm presuming they're Russian. I think they've just been Eastern Europe.
Oh yeah, because this is before he's had the montage of training.
Yeah.
All he's done is had the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, we're building to the montage.
No, because all he's had is had the shit kicked out of him, but he still managed to disarm a guy with a gun and throw him across the street.
Because of all the cage fighting he's been doing, obviously he's picked up a few things while having the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
See, it all makes sense. It all fits together.
Anyway, yeah, the fight, right, is the guy with the gun to start with.
Yep.
And then he disarms him, and then he's fighting two guys with baseball bats who also come out the car.
No, there's a guy with a butterfly knife.
No, there isn't. That's the girl.
No, the girl doesn't stab him.
Yes, the girl does stab him. No, because I remember that happening, and I remember going, why didn't Matt tell me about that? The girl stabs him. The first guy has the butterfly knife. He drops the butterfly knife. The girl picks it up and stabs him in the leg. No, none of this. Yeah. You're gonna Google it. No, none of this. No, what
seriously. There is a scene where you see it holds. It holds on. Let me just explain.
No, all right.
Where it holds on the butterfly knife, and you hear it unfurl and the blade reveal. And there's an over the top is a monologue from Antonio Banderas where he says, "Later, I would remember that I heard this and should have anticipated what was to come."
And then the girl.
And then it cuts to the guy stabbing him in the leg.
All right, okay. At this point, we've now reached the point where we can't watch it now because we're doing the podcast, right? Which means if anybody listens to this and watches it, they're going to have to respond.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Let us know whether or not it was the girl.
Let us know who was right.
Yeah. And if it wasn't the girl, don't say anything. And if it was the girl, rip into Matt.
That seems fair.
Well,
we can only assume that if no one says anything, I was right.
Well, you're gonna know what to expect because we're gonna look it up after we're done, and I'm gonna be like, "Look, it was the girl."
There's gonna be a follow-up podcast where it's like, before we start anything.
Next podcast is like, "Who was right, Matt?"
Anyway,
Who
Whose
runs Podcast Town?
Jake's house. Say what?
Tell me, who run Podcast Town?
Jake runs Podcast House.
That damn right.
Say what?
Say what? I said who's
Nothing. Nothing. Anyway,
which is extra good because I'm currently dressed like they are.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Loki
That's
and
another
Barnabas.
story. No, that's another story. Yeah. So
It is.
Dogma, great movie as well. Loki and Barnabas, they dress a particular way in the movie. And I was looking for a hoodie, and I couldn't find a black one because I normally buy black coats. And I was like, here's a grey one. And I was like, can I think of anybody who's looked cool with a grey hoodie and the clothes that I have? And I was like, oh, Dogma. And I looked it up, and lo and behold, there is, what's his name?
Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon with a grey hoodie,
Freakishly young Matt Damon.
a red shirt,
Yeah.
right? Black trousers instead of green, obviously, and a big coat. And I was like, well, there we go. Look, boom. Buy the hoodie.
So you could literally just turn up at Comic Con and cosplay
All I need is some
Barnabas.
wings.
No, he was Loki.
All I need is a silver Desert Eagle.
Yeah.
I'd look good.
You'd look good.
I look good anyway, but I'd look good.
I look fucking fantastic anyway.
Matt Damon.
Anyway, so like whoever stabs him.
Yeah.
Because this is not the bridge I'm going to die
The
on.
whole podcast just to explain the plot of this movie. It's ridiculous.
This is a problem because
It's not. I'm just remarking now. Yeah.
And he flies into a bookshop. And the mobsters pimp away with the girl, drive off, done. And as he gets himself out of the bookshop, he picks up a book and he uses it as like a pressure bandage, because wouldn't you?
That would work.
On the knife wound, and then stumbles into a back alley to kind of avoid the cops. And then while he's laying on the floor,
he's waiting for the ambulance.
Okay. I'm not burning on this bridge.
Okay.
I'm not dying on this bridge. The book falls to the floor and it's just covered with blood, but he happens to glance at it and there's one passage which isn't covered with blood. Like everything else has been blotted out by his blood. Like it's a message from God or something. And it's something along the lines of like, forgive yourself first and then the solutions to life will reveal themselves. And it's Marcus Aurelius' Meditations.
Which is quoted from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Blackout screens between the acts.
It all ties in, right? So, having had this cathartic realization, he decides to become a kind of warrior monk. And
by buying 2 exercising machines.
Yeah, by buying 2 exercising machines, all of which work the abs, as if to say all of combat comes from the abs. And he buys a punching bag, and he does a bunch of different martial arts, which he rapidly progresses through for some bizarre reason.
Yeah, I feel like the passage of time was meant to be emphasised at that point, but it really isn't.
So, he's a really rich guy, by the way.
Because he's a lawyer.
And if popular culture and comics has taught us anything, being rich is a superpower.
Do you know why? Because I'm Batman! Yeah. Got that one in.
Because I'm rich, I'm allowed to be a vigilante. Stop me.
And fight poor people trying to survive.
Yes, because I believe the Mafia Don was well known for his economic property. Anyway, what was it saying again? Oh yeah, so there's this big epic training montage where he learns like a bunch of martial arts, does a lot of crunches, and takes a vow of silence.
Oh yeah.
And he's reading loads of different treatises on.
Can we point out that he meets, because there has to be another romantic interest, right? So his wife's died, but he meets his new romantic interest while he has this vow of silence. So you get to watch a woman fall in love with Antonio Banderas while he's not saying anything, and it just doesn't make sense, and it's so funny.
He seduces her with glances and looks.
No, glares. He just glares.
Yes, true,
the whole time he's just like...
There's a lot of glaring.
I am angry.
Oh, and he develops a spider sense, which is he can enter a room and is instantly aware of everything.
He gets heightened hearing.
Yeah.
Because he stops talking for some reason. That's how it works.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, so he can hear everything. So he goes back to where his wife and kid was killed, because he had some hint that it was the Russian mafia.
Yeah.
And there's Russian mafia there, and they're eyeing his car up after he went off and had a look about for clues. And they're like, it's our car now. And then he obviously fights them. And some of them have guns and stuff, but he's like beating up 4 guys on his own because he's done a load of crunches and now he knows how to fight.
And because he's a warrior monk, the attack dog that they had specifically trained to attack people, suddenly becomes his best mate.
And doesn't attack him.
Yeah.
And runs away.
Yeah. And then runs back, and he is now its owner.
Runs back with the woman.
Yeah.
Who's now the romantic interest, who is also a nurse.
And he's injured.
Who treats him, not in the A&E, at her home.
Yeah.
That's what she thinks. Oh, this guy's rich. I'll treat him on my own. See if I can woo him. Get a bit of that sweet gold digger money.
That's
International Women's Day.
That's an interpretation I hadn't considered, but
it's not how the movie goes, by the way. That's not what they're trying to portray her.
Anyway, cut a long story short, I think the movie's great.
And I think it's awful.
I think it's great because it's so bad that it's almost good.
Oh, and Dredd's in it.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
Dredd's the bad guy.
What's his name?
Oh, that's funny.
Kirk. No. That's gonna fucking annoy me.
It's alright, I'm googling it. Keep talking about the movie. I said talk, damn it.
Well, I can't really. I don't want to say anything else because, like, the rest of it, like, I don't really remember.
You don't really
I just remember these like character defining moments. Carl Urban, that's the one.
Like he, so Carl Urban is a cop in this,
which I was really surprised by. Carl Urban turning up.
Yeah, to be fair, I was like, is that?
Yeah, is that? He's old.
It is him.
He looks so old in that film as well.
Anyway, so so the cop cut turns up, and like when initially when the wife and the kid have been killed, the guy's going to the police to try and get them to do something. They don't do anything. And he's talking to the lieutenant, and the lieutenant's fobbing him off, essentially. And then he leaves, and he bumps into Carl Urban.
Yeah.
And Carl Urban's like, don't worry, some of us don't give up, like giving the guy hope. And then later, when he's fighting in the ring, Carl Urban turns up again and saves his life. Because he's like about to get killed in the ring, and Carl Urban comes in and knocks the guy out. And then basically goes, the reason I didn't show my face before is because, you know, if somebody finds out a cop's at illegal fighting rings, he's going to get into trouble.
But he's not, let's be fair. Like, they're going to cover it up. Like, they cover all the people they shoot.
Okay, that's our next topic. Great. We'll get back to, police corruption later.
Because blue privilege.
We'll get back to police corruption later. But anyway, Carl Urban essentially is being built as this guy who was going to train him. Like, that was what I initially thought. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He ends up not doing that, and then ends up becoming the villain, because essentially the guy finds out that Carl Urban is the one who killed his wife and kid. Mm-hmm. And the reason he did it, lo and behold, when this now silent monk goes and searches his apartment, is because the silent monk, who used to be a top-notch
hot-shot lawyer, defense attorney,
got the guy who murdered the cop's kid off scot-free.
Yeah.
So now the cop was like, clearly, instead of murdering the lawyer who was doing all of this stuff, I should kill his wife and child.
Yeah.
That is an appropriate response.
Yeah.
And so at the end, they have this big old fight, the cops winning, and then Antonio Banderas comes out of nowhere with a bit of fucking shard of glass and wins, and then he goes to kill him, and then he's like, no, I won't kill him, he'll go to jail instead. And then the last shot is of him with his attack dog, now best friend, and the Russian nurse, now girlfriend, sitting in his still fabulous apartment with all of his money, watching this cop get arrested on the news, like nobody had learnt anything. Basically.
So it's basically law-abiding citizen if Jamie Foxx had been a badass.
Oh, shots fired. Pew, 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 pew. God, Jamie Foxx is going to come for you.
To be fair, Jamie Foxx has got some range. Yeah. Because he did Django Unchained, where he was fucking boring.
Oh, he was good in that, yeah.
But he's also done stuff like, is it the Celloist, which it was Robert Downey Jr. and Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx plays a homeless guy who's clearly got some severe mental issues.
Right.
But is an incredible celloist. And Robert Downey Jr. is a journalist who is he's out driving one day and just happens to see him, and he's got an old cello. Jamie Foxx has got an old cello and is playing it, but there's no strings. I can't remember what, like, I saw this years ago, but it was fucking good. Jamie Foxx's performance. Actually, Robert Downey, like, everyone in that film did really well. I don't know why it isn't more well known, because it is a great film. But yeah, watch it.
Okay.
And, like, so, like, my point here is Jamie Foxx, I'm not dicking on Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Like, he can do action films, but he can also play some, like, serious, difficult characters.
In that film, he wasn't ideal, and it wasn't his fault.
Oh, what, law-abiding citizen?
Yeah.
I like all he is a hotshot lawyer.
Fair.
I don't mean to say that's all he is. He's not a defense attorney. He's the one that makes less money, but for some reason is also quite rich. Go figure. But like he, no, I thought Jamie Foxx was fine in that, but the film wasn't meant to be about Jamie Foxx. It was meant to be about like revenge.
Yeah, like cutting a man up into pieces.
Actually, saying that, no, because there was a lot of character development for Jamie Foxx there. Because like his co-worker and like best friend dies and like gets killed, and his daughter like goes through some traumatic shit. And there's that whole distance thing with his family, and like he goes on a journey, and by the end of it, it's like I've got to spend more time with my daughter. I needed my co-worker and half the city to nearly die to realise this. Lesson learned.
Just like any other man.
Yeah.
International madness. Oh. Like, to be fair...
See how it's all a rich tapestry? You'd think we'd almost planned it.
Yeah, yes, I feel like I feel comfortable speaking for all men. And I've got to say, yeah, we're not great at learning.
Yeah, and frankly...
We're not spending time
frankly,
with our kids.
I don't feel like I deserve a day. just saying, like...
No, man. Every day is our day.
Every day is my day.
Every day is man day. Man forever. God, I'm glad I have a penis.
Wow.
Sorry, was that too far?
No, just surprised you went there.
Oh, all right, yeah, no, fair play. Well, you know, like I said, being blocked on Facebook is a common occurrence. In for a penny, in for a pound.
But you don't care because you have a penis.
yeah, because I'm cis white male, and I've got male privilege. No, white privilege. No, both.
Cis white male privilege.
I've got triple privilege.
You're also pretty middle class. So.
Yeah, I've got class privilege.
Yeah.
Jesus. And I'm well educated. Education privilege.
Yeah. Educational privilege.
Yeah. But I'm still a working man.
But I'm a mechanic. I don't know, like...
That is a working man.
Yeah, that's true. No, but I just mean, like, you know, because there's that thing of, like, Diana, Princess Diana, she was born into an upper class family.
God rest her beautiful soul.
You're not going to like what I have to say next.
I don't like her.
Yeah.
No, it's not true.
It's not that I don't like her.
I don't know her. It's just I don't care.
Right.
It's been 20 years.
So here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
She was a C student. So, like GCSE. She didn't get any A levels. She didn't go to university. I'm not knocking her for not doing that. What I'm trying to say here is, you've got to try pretty hard to come from a life of privilege that is that high and only get C's.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, she'll have had tutors. Like, they could have afforded all that.
Yeah.
She will have had that. But she still got C.
Yeah.
She still got all C's. Like, the highest grade she got was C.
She's either pretty fucking thick or just doesn't give a
I don't
fuck.
think she was thick. It's just, she just didn't try.
Fair.
And, like, you've got to be pretty dedicated to not
You've got
trying.
to not try pretty hard
to get
in that
C.
position to get C. Right, I understand. I get you. Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying she was dumb, and I'm not saying she was really intelligent. I'm assuming she was average. You've still got to try pretty hard to get your C's.
You've got a point.
In a private school when you've probably also got tutors.
Yeah.
Just saying. And that is what economic privilege allows you to do.
You are clearly a royalist.
Yeah.
Oh, for Queen and country. For Queen and country. Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
Technically, we all are.
What, royalists?
Yeah, we live under we all answer to the
regime
Queen.
of the monarchy.
Yeah.
Monarchy.
Which is why I find it always quite funny when we have discussions about the nature of democracy. It's like, yeah, but we still have a head of state that's the Queen.
Yeah. I've also just realised that monarchy is very close to America. Which, like, doesn't really matter.
Which, depending on whether or not you believe in, like, economic and social Darwinism, kind of implies that the rich people who are in power deserve to be there because they are the new age monarchs, titans of industry.
Yeah.
If we're going to be taking this kind of Ayn Rand, Randian hero kind of narrative of I can do it because I can and will, because I am a Randian hero.
Yeah, it's not true though, is it? So.
Well.
Yeah, I'm rich because I deserve to be.
You say it's not true. Trump is president, so.
What do you mean?
Trump would be an example of that. Man born into exceptional privilege, who, not on the merits of his abilities. Well, actually, I say that he's a hell of a salesman. He convinced America to vote for him.
Yeah, he did.
Though he didn't get the majority vote. Just saying.
Yeah, but we live in the UK, so we really can't talk about majority votes.
It's true,
Oh, God, just saying. Because we have an even more backward system than they do.
Ours is quite similar.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not.
Well, I mean, America's a republic. There's a major difference there, because they don't have royalty.
Actually, no, you're right. Ours is quite similar, because
first past the post is very
when you
similar.
have local council elections, they can redraw the district lines to try
and they do.
Yeah. So that's exactly like we like it's almost like America was a colony of ours at one point.
Yeah.
Like, like there may have been some cultural influence.
Yeah. And it's almost like that when the Declaration of Independence was drafted, they used Indian tribe treaties as kind of the architecture for it. This is actually true.
Yeah.
My question really, though, is that not cultural appropriation?
You're determined to get me into trouble, aren't you? You're just like, okay. So just to be clear, I've already explained that, like, with someone else in my life, that cultural appropriation came up. There was an argument that was going to start, but I avoided it because I was like, no, I don't want to do this because, like, first
I'm
of all,
out.
I don't know enough.
I've got my limits. One is cultural appropriation. The other is Israel.
No. That's not what I said. Like, what it is that I haven't looked into cultural appropriation and developed an argument enough to be able to confidently express an opinion on it. And I was up against someone who was very clear in their understanding of it. And so, like, anything I said was going to spark a bad argument. And so I told Matt about this, and now Matt keeps on bringing up cultural appropriation on the fucking podcast, trying to get me to fucking make an opinion.
Just to be clear, it's not just because of that moment. I have a lot of people within my friendship circle who bring it up occasionally and at length, from both sides of the coin. And I mentioned earlier that I like deconstructing bad arguments.
Yeah.
So, like, I have deconstructed arguments from both sides in that time and have changed the nature of my friendships with many people through doing so, because they can't tell the difference between me dicking on a bad argument and me dicking on their views on cultural appropriation. Maybe I could put it better, but
smelling the smoke of that burning bridge.
Yeah.
It smells like victory.
I just really like the smell of my own farts.
Damn it. Too far, Brian. That's the limit. That was a reference to that South Park episode where it's like those the intellectual crowd that turns up and, like, Stan's dad, like, starts smelling his own farts. They're all just smelling their own farts. Anyway, yeah. So cultural appropriation, like, kind of a thing, but not in the way most people think it's a thing.
But you know what you should do?
What?
Educate yourself.
What, me?
Yeah.
Okay, I should. But, I mean, that would require me having time to do that. And to be honest, I'm too busy watching shitty movies like Acts of Vengeance. So, like...
And that, to me, is more important.
Oh, you're a dickhead.
Do you know why? Because of my privilege.
I don't have to worry about today's modern problems because I'm white and male and it's not going to affect me. Oh, nope. Ah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's like you can totally afford to buy a house and get on that wrong.
I can, as long as that house is ruined, dilapidated, on land that's falling apart and in a flood area. Then I can get a house.
Then I can totally get a house.
Only if it's in Wales, though.
Yeah.
Not in Kent, because if you found a house like that in Kent, it would still be worth like 150k.
Yeah. Like there's the potential redevelopment value that gets added on.
Yeah. Like, what is it? A 2-bedroom shitty house in a bad area in Medway costs like 200 200k.
It's been a while since I've looked at the property market.
I did find a couple of really nice properties. And I'm not
Wales.
sure if we should be talking about this on the podcast though, because I'm not sure if anyone's going to be interested in us looking for a house.
Let's not bother.
In fact, this might be a good point to wrap up the podcast.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not? Like, unless you've got anything else you wanted to talk about.
Well, I mean, I've got a couple of things.
All right, go on then.
It's just, like, I've realised that my subjects have a common theme.
Okay.
Which I'm not sure I want to turn this into. There is this one other thing, which is... I reckon this is a prediction of mine. I reckon the next kind of the new age in like the tech age is going to be the Internet of Things. And let me just be a bit more specific with what I mean there. Internet of Things is like everyday objects in the Internet of Things.
The Internet of Things?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can buy kettles that connect to the internet, so you can turn on your kettle like 5 minutes before you get home and shit like that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can have your like central heating system connected to it. You can have an app that connects to your central heating system, so you can. The house is warm before you get in.
Yeah.
Right. This is known as the Internet of Things. Drones would also count. Now, like throughout like 90s and early 2000s, the big concern was like internet security and data security and all this shit. And the how we combat that has become increasingly sophisticated. And the basically for you to become a hacker that can actually do anything requires a huge amount of effort. The amount that it required for you to do that has grown as the response to that industry has grown. So you have to be pretty fucking good in order to do that. Sorry, screen saver popped up again. Anyway, with respect to the Internet of Things, the point of access is incredibly low, to the point where I could probably go and hack a kettle right now if I wanted to.
Right.
So I reckon this is going to be the next big thing, where people are hacking the Internet of Things. Because like there was the Alexa thing that now has that witch laugh.
Yeah, that was pretty harmless though. But
it is. But okay, I'll give an example.
People get hurt.
I'll give an example. Like if let's say 5% of the population has internet connected kettles. Let's just pretend they do.
Yeah.
If someone is able to connect to all of them and turn them all at once, what do you think that would do to the power grid?
There'd be a spike, but if it was something like 50, 60, 70%, then it would be a hell of a lot more.
You've suddenly got 5% of all the UK kettles in the UK turning on unexpectedly.
Yeah, but 5% wouldn't do it.
Well, I don't know.
But like because at the moment like kettles, essentially there's a particular time during TV where there's a break, like, I think after EastEnders or something.
Yeah, and they
like
anticipate it. Do you know how they anticipate it?
Because it happens.
Because they know it's going to happen, so they spool up 2 coal-powered turbines and a gas turbine plant.
I get you, but that'll probably be more than 5%.
That's a good point.
So the idea is sound, but I'm niggling over the percentage.
My point here is, you start being able to do things which the system can't compensate for. And you could start having crises occurring, which...
You could almost knock out the power to a bank by hacking kettles in order to steal all the money.
Kinda, yeah.
That'd be fucking cool. That needs to be a movie. Let's make a movie. Let's do a Kevin Smith.
Let's do a Kevin Smith movie about hacking.
Hacking a tea kettle.
That's a good pitch.
Did you hear about Kevin Smith? Heart attack.
Yeah, I did.
Poor sod.
Did you hear about his response to the Weinstein scandal?
No. Oh, he donated all the money he made on the movies.
Okay, it's he donated all the revenue that remains. It's difficult to kind of explain. So like all the stuff that he's made with under Miramax, which was owned by the Weinstein company. There's like a revenue stream that comes with it, and he's basically donated the entire revenue stream to. From
this point onwards.
There's a couple of like women's charities that are involved, and I think there's like some excess stuff that he still had. I think what he's actually donated is the licensing rights to that property. So now they control it, and they can do whatever they want with the revenue they can generate with it, which is like a pretty fucking bold move. Like as moves go, it's like
a pretty damn good gesture.
Yeah. It's basically him saying like, I don't want this, and if you can take what I generated within that company to help women affected by this kind of thing, crack on. Like,
Yeah, because
it's quite poetic.
Well, his response to the heart attack was pretty fucking like brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah,
Like, I was just like, God damn, man, thanks for reminding us all that, you know, sometimes it's okay to go. You know, like
yeah. I mean, like because like he does like a lot of Q&A, stage work and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's talked about like his dad dying, and like what the kind of impact that had on him. Because he references it, because I have read the post.
Yeah.
That he left, and like he mentions his dad dying screaming.
Okay, so just to be clear, he put up a post that was essentially like, I've just had a heart attack, almost died, probably would have died if not for timely intervention of highly skilled people, and basically goes, I've always been afraid of dying. That's been my biggest fear, but now I faced it. I found that I was strangely comfortable with the idea of it. Like, I was really upset that I was going to leave people behind, but I realised I'd lived a good life. I'd had a lot of opportunities. I had a loving wife, great kids, and that although I was sad to leave them behind, I was content with where I'd left it. And this was while he thought he was going to die.
Yeah.
So like a cynical part of me is like, sure you didn't come up with all of this after you realised you were going to live, but like. But most of me wants to believe that that's actually what he went through, you know, like.
I mean, yeah, when they say that whole thing of like life flashing before your eyes, and I've definitely been in instances where like I've feared for my life, and I have had a huge narrative thought process that's occurred in my head that was so rapid and so concise. I can believe it. Put it that way.
You see, because the last time I thought I was going to die, I was literally just like,
"Oh God!"
Yeah, which by the way was me getting cramp in the middle of the night and nowhere near dying. I felt like I was going to die because it was so. I was in a bar and it was like -5 degrees, and I had about 2 hours sleep and I got cramp in both thighs, and I stood up, and as I stood up, my sleeping bag fell away.
And your boxers? Is that right?
No, I was in my boxers because
right.
I'd stripped off going to bed because the fire was on and I was really warm, and then the fire was out. It was freezing cold. I got up, it fell off. I had nothing on but boxers, and I was just immediately freezing cold. And I was like, I have to get back under the sleeping bag, or I'm going to die. That was my thought process, and there was no like epiphany. There was no like flashback of my life. It was just simply the cold, hard realization and fear that I was going to die cold and alone.
Could I respond? I think your subconscious knew that you weren't going to die.
Yeah, that's entirely possible.
So treated you like the whiny bitch that you are. Nah, let him suffer. Let him suffer.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that as well. However, I just really, it was a good story. Took the opportunity, But yeah, fucking Kevin Smith.
Are we closing on that? You being a whiny little bitch?
Well,
should we talk about something else?
I feel like every day is closed on that, mate. So why not the podcast as well?
And final thoughts? Should we go Jerry Springer?
Yeah, my final thought is the girl definitely stabbed him and you're wrong. Ha. And on that note...
yeah, I have no final thoughts. Ugh.
Do you not?
You know what? I'm struggling to find one.
Really?
Yeah.
Other than you're a cis white male and no. We need to stop that now. We've taken that as far as it can go.
That joke is dead now.
Yeah, wait, I think it was dead before we started doing it. So,
Like, if anything, the International Women's Day and the question of what about International Man's Day has made me realise just how entitled and privileged a lot of men feel that they are.
Yeah.
So, I have mixed feelings about...
us.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the concept of patriarchy, but... Like, that has definitely shone a light on it for me that makes me feel there's definitely a level of entitlement there that you don't get anywhere else. Yeah. Simply by virtue of the fact that you're a man.
Like on that subject, and I haven't really thought this through, so I might regret saying this for the rest of my life. But
Hitler did nothing wrong. I know, right?
Fucking ruining my train of thought, man. So oh, fucking yeah, you actually have. You're a bastard.
Final thoughts. Hitler did nothing
wrong. No, Matt, stop it. You're ruining it. You're a big ruiner.
Okay.
God. So it was International Women's Day, position of privilege. Right. Okay, so I'm in a weird position where I am keenly aware that I have this privilege, right? definitely there is privilege there.
Sure.
We make a lot of jokes, but yeah, we are in a position of privilege being white and being male. It makes it easier. However, on the flip side, I also can't stop making the jokes about it.
Yeah.
Because it's funny. Like, it is funny, and that's what comedy is all about. You know, sometimes you use it to point out great, like, injustices through laughter.
Yeah.
And also, I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, yeah, I have this position of privilege that allows me to feel the way that I do, but I don't feel like I should stop feeling that way and be guilty, because I feel like everybody should be in this position.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not like, yeah, I get it, but like I can't, like, I feel like there's almost like this kind of like, I don't know, pressure to be like, oh yeah, man, like, I know I'm in a position of privilege, so I'm going to give that up, and I'm going to make myself feel bad because I need to. I kind
of get where you're coming from,
right?
Which is kind of why my solution to that problem. I mean, the reason I thought of it didn't come from that aspect, from looking at it that way, which is why I always make the argument, like, really what you're arguing against is people who hold economic power.
Yeah.
So, like, a symptom of holding economic power is bigotry, in my mind. That's where racism comes from, that's where classism comes from, that's where sexism comes from. It's because people who hold the position of power set the agenda.
That's a bold theory.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bold theory, but look,
fuck it, I'm right.
Tell me I'm wrong, and show me I'm wrong.
But please don't get to the point where you sit on one of those stupid tables with a shirt saying, like, guns are okay, to prove me wrong, because I fucking hate that. Because that's not like starting a reasonable argument. Okay. That is deliberately getting in someone's face.
What I mean by that is, I am more than happy to kind of elaborate on this and kind of explain it more. It's just, this for me is what it ultimately boils down to, which is why the discussion of, like, who has more privilege amongst the races is a distraction in my mind. Who has more who has more privilege amongst the sexes, again, is a distraction. It is a distraction where you're focusing on the symptoms rather than the cause, and the cause is absolutely those who hold positions of
economic injustice.
So deal with the cause, symptoms go away, is my point.
Yeah.
So we can sit around and discuss and say, like, well, you know, I am of this particular faith, therefore I'm more oppressed, or I belong to this particular race or this particular social class, and therefore I'm more oppressed, and therefore I should be given more opportunities, or there should be reparations made, or stuff like that. You can do that, that's fine, but I don't actually see that as the most effective way of doing it.
We're lancing the balls instead of taking the cure.
Yeah. So when I make those jokes, I'm not always making those jokes from that point of view. It's just, if you can't have a sense of humour about something, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
If you can't, then it becomes doctrine rather than an idea. And when it becomes doctrine, you start getting weird things starting to happen where you are either one thing or another. You're either with me or against me.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start doing that, it shuts down any debate, and you become polarized, and you form your own groups where everyone thinks the same thing, and the second anyone strays from that, you are ostracized, you're blocked, and that shuts down any possibility of any kind of discussion. And I'm of the belief that, you know, any discussion requires you to have a sense of humor, including even in your own values.
Yeah.
So,
and it's okay for someone to be wrong as long as they're not an asshole. I'd just say, I would say it's okay to be wrong, just don't be an arsehole about it. That's what I just said. Is it? Yeah. Right. I said it's okay to be wrong as long as you're not an arsehole. Well, the way I interpret... And you went... No. I would say the way let me just be clear. Let me just be clear. I was being very specific there, whereas when you said as long as you're not an arsehole, it's like, if I think you're an arsehole and you're wrong, then you're dead to me. It's how I interpreted that. No, that's not what I was saying. To be fair, you did clarify, so thank you. But, yeah. Anyway, cool. So, final thoughts for me are... Hitler did nothing wrong. Hitler did nothing wrong. I don't actually think that, if that isn't obvious. Oh, man. We just can't keep away from the jokes. Tony Blair did nothing wrong. Oh, fuck off. No, that's too soon. Is that somehow worse? Yeah. It really fucking is. Like, that's still a fresh wound in my memory. Like, fucking Tony Blair, what a cunt.
Mm.
So, final thoughts are: 3 Billboards was a great movie. Acts of Vengeance is worth watching.
I would watch Acts of Vengeance. Like, you will not regret watching it.
Men still don't quite get it.
Us included.
Although, are we just saying that as a fail-safe?
Yeah, so we can virtue signal.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's a good question, I don't know.
Yeah, are we literally just covering our own backs without not actually meaning it? Because I feel like we're kind of on point a little bit. Like, I think we kind of get it.
I would put, no, I'm gonna put it like this, because this is generally when I have these conversations I always say this. I'm gonna be upfront about this. I'm fairly certain there are still opinions I hold that are quite bigoted.
All right, yeah, I'll agree with that. Okay, yeah, no, we don't get it.
And like it's not a you have reached the point and now you're fine.
Oh, that never.
It's never that.
Never.
It is a constant, lifelong process of you're going to be challenged and confronted with new sets of values from new people, from with different stories and histories, and you're going to be confronted with them, and you're going to have to learn to respond to them in a particular way. But the initial response is always going to potentially be bigoted.
Yeah.
And I'm not out of those woods. I'm still in those woods.
Same.
I'm not sure I'm ever going to leave them.
Actually, do you know what? I feel like that is a perfect...
That's my final thought. I'm still a bigot.